Hello everyone, it's Menenberg, and in this video we are going to spend a little bit of time dissecting prompts. If you watched earlier videos on the DBQ or the LEQ, the document-based question or the long essay question respectively, I've done this a little bit, but I'm actually going to do specific prompts in this case, and hopefully it'll be helpful because remember, if you don't understand what is being asked of you, it is far less likely that you're going to be successful at that task. And this goes for any area of life, but especially in this particular 40% of your AP exam grade, the LEQ and the DBQ. So you might want to pay attention, and I don't care if you're taking APUSH or AP Euro, these are AP Modern World History prompts, but the concepts remain the same. You still have to be able to dissect them and have a plan. So I'm going to walk you through dissecting and looking at keywords. I'm also going to suggest that you spend at least 3 to 4 minutes before you actually write your essay. And remember, the DBQ, you have one prompt to choose from, and you gotta write on it. So if you don't understand that one, it's gonna be bad. The LEQ, on the other hand, you have 3 choices. So it's by doing this task that I'm showing you right here, you're gonna be more successful because you're gonna figure out what you know, and probably more important, what you don't know about a given prompt, and decide with that information whether or not that's the best prompt for you to answer. So let's take a look at a sample one. By the way, I got a dinosaur here because my kid loves dinosaurs and they're scary like the LEQ. Anyway, here we go. All right, so I'm going to look at this prompt and I want you to identify all of the tasks that you're being asked to do. The prompt is this: in Africa and Eurasia, between 1450 and 1750, various forms of Islam and Christianity were key factors in the expansion of empires. Develop an argument that evaluates the extent to which the various belief systems showed continuity or change over time during the period of 1450 to 1750. Seems easy enough, right? No, it doesn't. That's a hard prompt. But, and I don't care if you've done this content before, we still can figure out what we're looking for. There's a few things that are being asked of us in this prompt. So let's take a closer look, shall we? Look at that dinosaur move around. First, you want to establish where in the world or where in the continent or whatever it is that you're supposed to focus. In this case, you got 3 to choose from. You got Africa, Europe, and Asia. Now, here's the thing. A lot of students think you got to take on the whole thing. You got to write about Afro-Eurasia. You don't. In fact, it's probably not in your best interest to do so. Remember, you're given like Christianity and Islam. We're talking about state building. But that happens in a variety of places, in a variety of with a variety of results. So let's pick 1 to 2 of these continents. And I say 1 to 2 because you can do 2 different states in Africa. That's perfectly reasonable, and it might make sense based on how much knowledge you have about those particular states. So don't bite off the entire continent or massive Afro-Eurasia, big continent. Just pick 1, okay? Second, pieces theme. Now, for APUSH and AP Euro, there might be different thematic pieces that you want to think about, but regardless, you do need to identify the focal area thematically for that prompt. In this case, we're talking about belief systems, okay, that's culture, and we're talking about state building, which is politics. Now, it's not that you don't want to mention or talk about anything else related, I don't know, social structures or economics or interacting with the environment. It's that the focus is not there in this particular prompt. You can talk about those, but if that's the focus, you're probably not going to get all the points on that rubric. That's why you got to break that down and identify that, at least in your head, if not write it down somewhere on that piece of paper when you're doing it. Okay, next, historical thinking skill. This prompt lays it up for you. That's not always going to happen. In fact, the College Board has increasingly become a little bit more vague here, so you could talk about causation, CCOT, or comparison, regardless of the prompt. In this case, they actually give you the word continuity and change. So it's like a no-brainer that you're going to do it this way for this prompt. Don't ignore those cues. You might go into another one of those historical thinking skills for analysis and reasoning point number 2, the complexity point. Not the purpose of this video to revisit how that would look. So watch the complexity videos I put out there. It might give you an idea along these lines. But for the sake of argument, you might include a comparison. You might include a cause and effect bit, even though your focus, or your structure of your essay is CCOT in this case. Okay? Time period. 1450 to 1750. It says it twice in the prompt. I'm highlighting that because so often, especially when I'm teaching a world history class that covers over 800 years, it's sometimes hard to know how much do I need to know about this or how much do I need to know about that. Names, places, dates, all that kind of stuff. It's not that dates and things are unimportant to get specific. They are. But it's more important with a world history class, and this probably is true for Europe and US history as well, that you simply know when in order things happen. So for example, for APUSH, you probably want to know that the Declaration of Independence happened before the Articles of Confederation. Or in European history, you probably want to know, I don't know, that Napoleon ruled after Robespierre. Okay, and during the French Revolution. Okay, it's just order. I don't need to know exact years they ruled necessarily. Your teacher will tell you which ones you need to know, and you go from there. But knowing the date is critical because sometimes I'll have a kid write about this prompt and they'll throw in the Mongols. And the Mongols aren't a thing in 1450 to 1750. They're just not. The effects of the Mongols are seen there, but we're not going to be talking about the Mongols as our main thing. Okay? So if you know a bunch about the Mongols, that's great. Maybe use it for a different prompt though. Okay? And again, it's not because you can't talk about the Mongols or something not fitting in this time. That more though applies to the complexity point, that analysis and reasoning too, where you're going across time periods. In this case, we want to stay here for the main part of our essay. Okay, now what else does the prompt give you? In this case, it gets you Islam and Christianity. Possible framework? Yeah. If they give you something like that, don't just ignore it or throw it away. It's going to be helpful to you. So use it to your advantage. Use it to help you structure your essay. You don't have to only use Christianity and Islam, but it's probably going to be the easiest way to answer all parts of that prompt. Expansion of empires is a phrase in that prompt as well. What does that tell us about the specific framework? Again, going back to our historical theme, politics. Again, its relation to the belief systems, the cultural piece, is very significant. In other words, we can't just have a state that is expanding its empire and have religion not play a role. Not for this prompt. This prompt wants those things to be relatively intertwined. So in that regard, it kind of limits our choices of empires. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Again, question though. With this prompt, do I have to do Islam and Christianity? I don't know. It probably makes sense to do that because they're giving it to you. I said that a moment ago. I'm just emphasizing that because when the College Board gives you these things, don't ignore them. Don't feel like I got to talk about, I don't know, Zoroastrianism. Great, throw it in there. That's not what they're getting at here. Islam and Christianity, they're saying there's plenty of opportunities where this happens with those two religions. Probably good to stay there. Probably a good choice. Let's look at how we might outline. Now, in other videos, I propose other methods of outlining or prepping. Regardless of which method you choose, it shouldn't take you very long, and I don't want you to worry about whether or not it's being graded. It is not being graded. They're probably going to glance at it. They might ignore it altogether. It's not on the rubric, so don't worry about what is there. Okay? The reason you do it, however, is because you're going to see real quickly that you either know a lot about a given prompt or you don't know a lot about a given prompt. Either way, it creates a plan of attack and helps you save time overall because you know exactly where you're going when you're writing this. So, I have the prompt up here. I'm not going to read it again, but it's about belief systems and it's about their influence in empire expansion or state building, okay? So great. What I'd like to do is create a quick table. And I haven't filled this all out for you. I'll just give it a couple quick things. So on one side, I have the belief systems. I got a column on the belief systems. I got a column on the empires. And I got a change or continuity, right? So if I pick Sunni Islam for the Ottomans, I'm going to try to determine, was that a big change when they kind of integrated that into the way their state was built? Or was it a small change? Was it a continuity from what happened before? Or was it something altogether new, which would be the change piece? What else do I know? Who are key figures in this empire? I'm going to pop that kind of stuff down. We got Suleiman, there's others. I'm just, again, shorthand really quickly. I'm jotting down some knowledge, okay? And again, I haven't filled this out completely. This is just an example of what it might look like for you, okay? And the idea is that as you fill this out, you might quickly realize, I don't have a lot of knowledge here, right? In that case, you're going to do you're going to also probably think about what would be helpful to include there. And if you don't have much, you might decide, I don't know enough to write about this prompt. If I do know, like let's say I got France and I got the Safavids, okay, and I got a bunch of stuff filled in here for both of those. Fantastic. That's probably enough to go on to write this essay. Remember, I only really need to talk about 2 different belief systems. I probably only need to talk about 2 different states as it relates to those belief systems. And if I got a lot on the Safavids and I got a lot on France, I'm good to go. I don't need to have Ottomans. I don't need to have Russia. I don't need to have Spain or other ones. These aren't all of them, obviously. The idea, again, is that I kind of can fill in some blanks really quickly here, and that way I know what my plan is going to be. Again, if my table's empty or my outline is really sparse, move on to the other prompt. You still have time. You don't want to be halfway through an essay and realize you got nothing to say. That's a bad place to be. This is going to save you time. I don't think you have to do this for every prompt. I'm simply proposing that you do it for the prompt you want to write about and quickly determine whether or not that actually makes sense to go forward there. If it doesn't, move on to the next prompt. Maybe tackle this in a little shorter way and you'll be in good shape. Okay, I'm going to do this same thing for another 1 or 2 prompts, and I hope that it helps. If you have questions, please post them in the comment section or send me an email. Let me know how I can clarify this. Perhaps if you're taking AP Euro or you're taking APUSH, you can send me a prompt. I'll help you break it down if it's worthwhile. Regardless of how you do this, it's important that you practice this. Remember, on the AP exam or on your unit exams, you're not going to have a bunch of time to sort this out. If you have it practiced and you know how to break down prompts in general, you're going to be very quick and you're going to be effective at doing this. And in doing that, you're going to be far more successful on the LEQ and the DBQ. Anyway, we'll see you next time on Menenberg's channel. Until then, remember, life is about choices, my friends. We'll see you then.